Good evening, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hoyte. I'm Steve. I'm very excited to be joined this evening by the man above me, Elliot Hoyte. Um, we're going to be talking today a lot about. Well, I feel like with Elliot, I could talk to him about many different things: his career, his views on football. But more succinctly today, Elliot's here, as you can see on screen. There is the Bristol Aztecs managing director. Following a recent announcement, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, wasn't it, Elliot? Of new investment and plans for growth for not just the Bristol Aztecs, but some other Britball teams as well. And really, I think it's quite an interesting thing. And really want to sort of pick your brain on it and also give you the platform to just talk a little bit more about it, Elliot. We will have people, like, we'll have comments coming in from the public. You won't see them, I will, and I'll sort of handpick them so that we don't get any sort of like abuse or stupid stuff. We try to stay.
Yeah, I love it. I love abuse. Bring it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. I'm very comfortable that you're able to handle it, Elliot, as well. But yeah, I try to keep it like positive in this podcast. But anyway, So I always like to, whenever we got guests, I like to sort of explain any pre-existing relationships, or if there are any. And now I know exactly who you are. I know who your dad is. We've probably chatted, or we've chatted obviously, digitally before, but this is our first time actually meeting face to face and and actually talking live to each other. I just wanted to sort of like, I don't know, like, I feel like there's a full disclosure piece here, because I always am worried about people thinking there's like an ulterior motive with stuff that we publish, and really there isn't. Like I would say that or Sport Tank, we support growth and positive movements in the sport. So absolutely, I'm all ears with this, and I'm all in, and I'm really excited about it. But I have no stake in this. I'm literally just talking to you about it as it comes up for the first time. There's no, like, we haven't pre-planned anything. We just literally, Elliot dropped in he dropped in about 30 seconds later. We started the live stream. So I just wanted to sort of like lay that out. Anyway, enough of me talking, Elliot. Over to you, mate. Sort of, I suppose, do give yourself a quick intro and let people know who you are and a little bit about you.
Yeah. My name's Elliot Hoyte. I born and raised in the UK. Played for the Bristol Aztecs youth team from 2009 through 2010. Also played for the GB Lions youth. I think as they were known at the time. Might have changed in the meantime, I think. And was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play football at Boise State following my second year with the Aztecs. So I went out to a summer camp they had out there, got offered a scholarship on the second day, and then I moved out to Boise, Idaho in January of 2012, grey shirted and red shirted. So did kind of the long route to get there. Went 2 years before I even got a chance to play a game. And then I played from basically, 2013 being my first year through to 2016. I think I played in like 48 games total. So I had a pretty decent career. Decided by the end of it that I love football enough as a fan, but not enough as a player. 23 years old, called it quits basically. I had opportunity while I was there to play with, DeMarcus Lawrence. Everyone knows DeMarcus Lawrence. I played with DeMarcus Lawrence. I played with Leighton Van Der Esch, played against Josh Allen. I played against and with some guys who may end up in the Hall of Fame in the NFL one day. So I can say, not bragging on myself at all, that there's a lot of stuff that went into that behind the scenes, family support, teammates back home and stuff. But I'm one of the few people, I think, that can say they played to that level. So I got some insight and had some experience that not very many people get a chance to look at. So that was my football experience. And there's more to it after that, but that was the football experience. So
I appreciate you sharing it. And like I said at the top here, I honestly feel like I could keep you talking about that for hours, just on end of me asking you minutiae questions and getting excited about everything you've done. And I'm itching to get into that. But and please feel free to share anything about it during this. But obviously,
Yeah.
the point of this conversation is uh, about what you've moved into within
Mhm.
American football. Obviously, I know you've had a very successful career. You set yourself up in Boise,
Mhm.
Idaho, in what they call in the States, real. I know, what is it, realtor?
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm my now. So I graduated in 2016.
Mm,
I worked for Porsche for the car brand for 2 years in
mm.
sales, and decided,
I remember. I remember the
yeah,
cars you used to post on Instagram. I used to follow. Well, I
yeah,
still follow your accounts, but yeah, I do remember that period of time as well.
yeah. That was the first thing I did, and
Mm,
was quite successful. But decided, 2 years in, the path in that business is a long. It's a long burn, and it's a
mm,
slow burn. And to get to where I wanted to get to career wise, it would have taken a long time. So I ended up getting my real estate license in January of 2018. And it's a very long story, but from January 2018 to now, went from being like I guess what you call a sole trader back home on my own, doing my own thing, to now I have a full company, 100% ownership, 36 employees or contractors total. We do about 350 million this year in top line sales as far as like actual volume of transactions, and we also have a marketing agency in house as well. So lots of different stuff, but the best way I can describe it is that we do real estate and marketing. That's my company does out here in Boise. Been doing that for the last 9 years now. So
so so then bring that into, you've you've built this up for yourself, self-made in an industry that you targeted, and you wanted to grow within. Why now, or why have you essentially circled back
yeah.
to the sport you love? Like, what was the reason for that? Where did that come from?
Oh, I've been out of football for like 10 plus years now.
Mm,
Like I haven't had anything to do. I haven't really had much to do with it at all. I mean, even with like Boise State, like I'll go to watch games and stuff, and I'm still like around, but never been directly involved in anything. My dad, who has been the DC of the Aztecs for the last 2 years, I watched all of the Aztec games on your live stream actually. So there's no, I miss. I think I might have missed one or two home games at least in the last 2 years. I went back home for my sister's wedding in August of this year and went to watch the Manchester Titans Bristol Aztecs game in Manchester. So just went to support dad and take a look. And um, we chatted about stuff, but just in general, obviously he's a coach, so he's asking questions, and I've been talking to him about stuff over the last year. But went to watch this game, and just went to support. Got home and was talking to dad while I was at home visiting, and just he kind of asked me, so what can we do to improve? And with the most respect, I said, well, how much time do you have? I don't mean that in like a in a disrespectful way. It's like there's a
mm,
lot of things I can see that are good, but there's also a lot for improvement. And my mum pipes in and she's like, well, can't you say something positive? I'm like, yeah, I can say something positive, but yeah, he asked me what could be improved on, so I kept it 100 with him. But then it kind of got me thinking. Well, fair enough. I'm going to talk shit. I'm going to swear on this thing. By the way, I hope that's all right. I do swear a lot, but
absolutely fine, mate.
okay, all right. So I've talked shit about British football for years,
Mm,
um, and honestly, rightly so. We get to that in a minute, but I was like, I can't really sit behind and talk shit if I'm not willing to kind of help out. So I reached out to Pete and just said to Pete Jones, head coach of the Aztecs, said, "Hey
yeah.
Pete, like what's my dad had mentioned, help's needed or would be appreciated. What's your appetite for me kind of helping out or just giving advice?" And he was very open. Was like, "Yeah, anything you can do to help out." And that quickly morphed into a conversation of like, well, we want to take it a little bit more seriously and potentially put together even an ownership group to put some investment behind it. And it quickly went from me just talking about giving ideas to me actually putting some money in, to me somehow roping myself into kind of directing everything, at least from a distance, but directing stuff in general. So yeah, just led to a conversation of what that would need to look like. And I basically said, within reason, I said to Pete, because it's been Pete's kind of team for the last, almost decade, I think now, really. I
Yeah.
said to Pete, I said, I'm more than willing to get involved, but here's my stipulation. And I didn't hold back on this. I need relative autonomy. And it's one, because we don't have the amount of people we necessarily need to be able to execute on everything. But two, as arrogant as this is going to sound, and I know it sounds arrogant, there are very few people on earth that would be as well qualified as me to actually make some of the decisions and put some of these things in place, because I know football back home very, very well because I played it. I
Mhm.
know football out here very, very well because I played it. and I know business very, very well because I have a very successful business. So it sounds, I know it sounds arrogant, but there are very few people in the world that would be as well qualified as me to be able to put a team together and be able to solve the problems that need to be solved from the lens of 3 different avenues that very few people get a chance to look at. So that was it. And Pete was like, "Yep." He kind of has handed the keys over, relatively speaking. We all have roles, and he's still very much in charge of the football side. But he said, business-wise and kind of the day-to-day stuff, have at it, basically. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. It's working really well. So
right, and obviously you mentioned in the video. Yeah, well, we collaborated on the video and Sport Tank posted.
yeah.
We had no like insight to it. It was, when I saw the video was the first time I knew about, all of that information within it. And you mentioned in the video that there are 2 other investors. So and I know one of them, but I didn't know the other. And
yeah.
were those guys already involved, or were they people that Pete brought in as well? Or
So
you met them?
Leiden Ward Best is one. Leiden's been involved for a while. Obviously, Pete has some interest in it too. And then John Matthews. John is Bristol based, and John's been in various different roles within businesses over the last 20 plus years. And I actually met John when I came back home for that visit, and it was a natural. It naturally made sense based on the stuff we needed to include those guys. There is varying degrees of ownership stake, so that's not 100% equal across the board, but everyone has a role within, and it's tough when, because I'm 5,000 miles away. I'm not here 100% of the time, so it wouldn't be realistic for me to be doing everything on my own. So it just made sense to include those guys in the process. So yeah,
right. And so between, am I right in saying that between the 4 of you each own a percentage of the business?
Yeah.
And is that information that you'll be releasing at any time, or is that something you're going to be keeping undisclosed?
Oh no, we're pretty open. Pete and I have an equal share. It's a majority share between the 2 of us, and then Leiden and John have an equitable piece. It's a little bit less. No, we're pretty open about it. There's nothing we won't share during this process. Nothing. Like there's no the days of Britball and people not sharing stuff and just being covert need to be done. So we're very open,
Well, and it's I mean, I'm glad you said that, but the reason I sort of approached the subject, the topic, is that I like it wasn't in the video, and that's why I wanted to ask, because the reason I wanted to ask really is because exactly of what you've just touched on there, Elliot, is that, look, don't get me wrong, I believe in the people and the team, and but the last team I played for was the Aztecs. Like I really want this to work, and I think you guys are the right guys, and I don't think that you're making stuff up to scam people or anything like that. But that's been a history of in the past, right?
Oh yeah,
people, all the bells, all the whistles, dancing the dance, and basically telling everyone what they want to hear. And what, when you scratch the surface, when you start asking questions like, who's involved, how much do they have? Okay, this person's an investor now. What did they invest? Like, what are they buying in? Like, what? You it falls on deaf ears. You never get an answer. And I've been quite an open skeptic of all of these different. In the time that I've run like Gridiron, Hub, and Sport Tank now, I've been really open. I've basically called people out and said, "This guy's like, this guy's a false prophet. Ignore him.
Yeah. This
is a joke, right?" And I get a little bit of stick for that myself, because it's sort of, you're a pessimist, like a bit like your mum, like And but I feel like I'm a realist, and I'm really passionate about this stuff. Now, that's and so what I think with that. What I was worried about was, if you guys are holding some of these cards a bit too close to your chest, you do open yourself up to those skeptics, and you give them a little bit of power, a little bit of prominence in what they're saying. So I'm glad that you do have this approach, for transparency and openness, because I honestly think that it would it work without it? Yeah, probably. Like let's not let's not fucking over egg it, but I think it helps so much better for people to buy into it, to come along the journey with you guys, to deal with this, to like enjoy the successes, but maybe there's some failures, maybe there's some setbacks, and you can have that story with them, right? With a community, with a group of people that are following you. So yeah, so that sort of, I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of share that from my
Yeah.
perspective. That I think it's absolutely the right approach. I'm really pleased to hear it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's part of the motivation too. Because I mean, like I said, I've been out of the game for a while, but
Mm,
I've seen enough of these people come along and just talk a bunch of shit about what they're going to do, and they don't even have the resume. Like the one thing is, I do have the resume to start with, as far as like
yeah.
the previous history. But the other thing is, too honestly, I don't need to do this. Like
Mm,
I don't need to do this. I
yeah.
want to do it, and that's the difference. I think a lot of these grifters come in and they need to do it because they're broke or they see an opportunity and they get money bags behind their eyes. I don't see this as being a money bags opportunity for several years. This is going to be a sunk cost for several years because
Yeah.
it's somewhat of an investment. So for me, I think the difference is maybe if I'm comparing myself and our team, myself, Pete, John, and
Mm.
Leiden, is this isn't something that we need to do. It's something we want to do, and that's a different motivation to these grifters that come out and are like, that it has to happen because they're going to get rich off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, I think nail on the head. I completely agree with that with that position.
Mhm.
So what is it that motivates the four of you? Or do you have different
Mhm.
motivations? What, like you just said earlier, like I don't, I don't.
Mhm.
I run a multi-million-pound business. I'm five
Yeah,
thousand miles away. I don't need to do this. So why?
yeah.
Why are you doing it?
We all have different. We all have the same ethos. I think the four of us. We also have some different motivations. Naturally, everyone has
Mm,
their own different motivations, just because we're all, I mean, genuinely motivated by different things. For me, the reason why I feel compelled to do it, um, there's a few things. Obviously, my family have been involved with the Aztecs from a volunteer perspective for several years now, so that's a motivation because all right, you're doing something with your family, and
mm,
it's a good excuse to connect with them because I'm 5,000 miles away. But I think the bigger picture, other than that being like a nice little ancillary thing to it, is I've seen this game at best be stagnant, if not regress, over the last 20 years. The heydays of British football was when my dad played, when he was younger than I am now, in 1988 or whenever it was. Like, how have we gone from, and I've had a lot of conversations in the community the last couple of weeks, like, I mean, everyone you can think of, Dave Haggart at Football America to George Foster with the Manchester Titans. I've been very much having conversations almost daily with different people. And it's been
mm,
the same thing over and over again. How did we go from having, back then, I think it was like a multi-million pound investment from Budweiser, which in today's money from the 80s is like 10 million plus,
yeah.
to this absolute just stagnant pool of limited growth in like a 40-year period. So for me, I'm looking at this like, hang on a second, you have decent ideas and you kind of know what to do. Why aren't you doing it? And that's why I kind of felt compelled to jump in. And also, candidly, I'm not trying to call people out here, but I'm just going to call a spade a spade. We have had reasonable success from guys that have played Division One football that were British or went to the NFL, and they haven't really done shit, to be honest with you. Like they've done
As in,
little
like
things
giving
here
it
and
back.
there. Yeah, giving back.
Yeah.
I make the calling guys out, and I don't really give a shit. It's just the way I am. We've had guys that have gone to the NFL that have been involved in leagues back home, and it's
Mhm.
their money. I'm not trying to count another man's money or his time. Like, please don't get me wrong, but they really haven't done anything sustainable. I have an opportunity to do it, and it would be wrong of me to benefit from my teammates who sacrificed back home playing for the Aztecs. It'd be wrong of me to, benefit from all these things from back home and not give back. I just felt
Mm.
compelled that, like, all right, I need to bring this experience back. And even if they are resistant to it to an extent to start with, as a larger community, they'll see the good in the end because I just can't waste that. It'd be selfish of me to go and benefit, run this business, get these opportunities, largely in part because of the sacrifice other people made and put in place for me, and me not come back and provide that. And it may sound corny, but that's just the truth. Like, that's how I feel about it.
It doesn't sound corny at all. So just for my part, Sport Tank cost me a lot of money to get to where it is today,
Mhm.
and it takes me a lot of time. Like I spend my time on the weekends going to live stream games. My wife gets really frustrated because I've got three young boys, 7, 5, and 3, and it's getting more and more like difficult. But like I do it for the same reasons you just said, Ellie. I want to give back. I want this sport to grow. I actually just coincidentally had a meeting today with the guy that's the main investor for the franchise that's going to be in London for the ELF,
Yeah.
Chandler. And I was saying to him, like, the reason there's so many skeptics, and people that like are back, like looking out for grifters essentially, is
Mhm.
that for 40 years we've had this sport, and in that time we've regressed. but also we've seen other countries within Europe that don't have
Yeah.
the GDP that we have, that don't have the
Yeah.
population, that don't have the the common language as we got in the US, that don't have the NFL games being played it, don't have all of this stuff that could factor into success, and they've gone from non-existence to professional leagues within that 40-year period. And
Yeah.
I remember Poland. I remember when Poland first started out after their first season. I was with the PA Knights, or whatever they were called at the time. And Coach Rains, who I think coached you at GB as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was around the same time actually. We got flown over there to after the first season they'd had in Poland, to train with the national champions, right? So they just had their first season. This was in their off season, and Rainsy was sort of working with the coaches. I was a player, so he was just like using me to show people how to do stuff, like how to tackle, how to, like, really basic stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then, fast forward, like I think it was 7 years later, that team were playing in a 30,000 seat stadium, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we failed. If a country that, and I'm not saying Poland is like a third world country, don't get me wrong, but does not have nowhere near the resources that we do, are able to do that, then what's our excuse?
Yeah.
Why haven't we done it? And so it's one of the things that drives me, right? I put a lot of money, time, and effort into trying to help grow the sport. I absolutely align to what you're saying, Elliot. I think you will always, because I get it, you always get people that think you've got an ulterior motive, there's something else, and like, oh, well, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're just trying to line your pockets." I was like, "Well, where does it? When? What money are you talking about? Because there's none." But one day, like, I want to. If Sport Tank turns into something that generates revenue, yeah, I'll do that full time. That's awesome, right? But it's not there at the moment, and yeah. So I completely align to that motive and that desire to actually want to help make something of the sport in this country. I think you don't have to over explain it to me. Like, I'm with you. I
Yeah.
awesome.
It's part of the problem though, and like, again, I'm not trying to put America on a pedestal or try and downplay or make a bigger deal of the UK's mentality than is necessary. But that's part of the issue. It's cultural, right? And I've had this conversation many times. The British mentality to money is a very weird relationship.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who's lived in both countries almost an equal amount of time. In England, you don't really talk much about what you make. You don't talk much about business. You don't talk much about any of that stuff, right? Whereas in America, like, everyone's happy if you do go and start a business and make some money. Whereas back home, there's this attitude: well, if you made money, you must have ripped someone off, or if you're doing something, you must be trying to rip someone off. And it's just the same old shit. That's why I live in America, not in England, because the stuff I do here, I could never dream of doing it back home, because the system just isn't set up for that type of success, and people are naturally skeptical of it. And that's part of the reason why I believe football hasn't progressed as much back home, because American football is a high cost sport, and it's very much predicated around entertainment. So if you're not willing to invest into that to that end and make it a business, it's very hard for it to be successful just based on participation only. So there's some fundamental cultural barriers that make football, or at least has made football to this point, harder to adopt in the UK. And it's very deep seated cultural things. This isn't just like an overnight thing. There's generations of cultural understanding of finances and business acumen and marketing, which we're going to have to overcome over a long period of time, I think.
Yeah, completely agree. It actually brings us on nicely to the next point, right? So hearing you articulate that, cultural barriers in the way, what are you going to do? And I don't mean you, I mean you as
No, go ahead. Yeah.
royal you. What are you guys going to do to break through those barriers? How are you going to break the mold?
Well, first thing's proof of concept, right, Steve? You can't just come in swinging talking about what you're going to do. You have to be able to prove it. So I know this first year is going to be a case of trying to put stuff together to show viability. As far as how we're going to break the mold or kind of put things in place, first thing is being open, right? It's about having open communication and being collaborative with the other teams in our league. Already started that. Had a great call with George Foster just yesterday, actually, with the Titans, just chopping ideas back and forth, telling them what we're up to. being like an open book. That's the first thing, because if you're not open, you don't tell people what you're doing. That's not going to change the way things have been done previously. So that's the very first thing, just openness, transparency. Obviously, not sharing playbooks or sharing players, but everything else in between, no reason not to share it. Second thing is really approaching this from a commercialized perspective. How do you commercialize this as a business, as an entertainment, to make it self-sufficient? So the three things we're focusing on is the gate at first. So obviously charging for entry, charging to watch the game. Obviously, you have to increase the game on the product on the field and increase entertainment, which is part of that gate. Second thing is sponsorship, making it viable so sponsors are like, okay, this is something we can invest in because we get a return based on eyes, whether that's through streaming, whether that's through the gate that comes through, or opportunities in the community. The third thing is merchandise, because obviously branding is very, very important. So we have a lot of stuff we're working on right now to be able to provide decent merchandise at affordable rates to people, to get that brand out there. And then the next piece really is development. And development's kind of it's an overarching thing, and development kind of goes into different lines. But how it works for us internally is creating a sustainable roster, right? So having Americans involved, but not having Americans make up the majority, using them to help improve the quality of the game on the field. The other side of that too is working with our the youth team, the under-19s and the Apache, to strengthen them so that we have a decent feeder system, right? So really focusing on the youth guys like me that were 16 years old, that hadn't the opportunity, never would have gone through the ranks. Those are the guys you want to pour into to be able to develop the roster. So you're not just going out and paying to fly guys out from America to come in and do stuff. You need to make it sustainable so you have your own kind of base. Part of that development too is also external. So internal, yes, you're working on your own roster, you're working on making things more commercialized, but externally working with other teams to provide them with more resources too, saying, hey, look, here's the blueprint, this is what worked for us, grab this, because if we are all better, we're all better. So if everyone gets a blueprint they can work from, they can see what works, and they can increase their offering, it makes for a more profitable league and a better on-field experience. So we're doing a lot of stuff to be able to share that wealth. We're doing a few things even to share some of our revenue as well with other teams based on how they show up and help us out. So there will be money that we're going to share, and just make the experience better for everyone, you know?
Right. And it is really interesting.
That was a lot. That was a lot. Sorry, I know that was a lot of
but it's exactly why we're here, because I'm really interested in, and hearing you articulate it, like those three main things, like gate, sponsorship, and merchandise. I can see what you mean about sharing, right? Because maybe sponsorship is one that there might be a risk of sharing. You know, you might be arguing between the same sponsor, but you're not gonna impact anyone else's gate. It's not, you know, you're not going to impact anyone else's merchandise. You're either in the market to be an Aztec supporter, or you're not.
Yeah,
right?
Arsenal fans don't buy Tottenham hats.
That's it. Yeah. So I was about to say the same thing, because I've shared a couple of times on here. Like, so I actually started my career as a commercial trainee, or YTS, at Portsmouth Football Club. One of the things that really struck me. So I grew up in Portsmouth most of my life, apart from living in the States when I was 11 to 15. But the rest of my life in Portsmouth to that point. And like, it was like ingrained in us to hate Southampton, right? Like, not just football, like the city, any sport. I played rugby. We wanted to always beat them, like massive rivals. I start working at Portsmouth Football Club, and we're doing exactly that. We're trading ideas, suppliers, group bulk buying stuff because it was cheaper. And I'm like, God, if this got out, you know, like this is insane. But it happened, you know, when we got into the Premier League a few years later in 2003, I went back to the club. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm going to Arsenal, and I'm going to Spurs, and I'm going to Liverpool, and I'm meeting my counterparts there, and we're trading ideas. How do you train staff? How do you attract staff? Because you cannot steal the fan base, right? Like, but I honestly don't think, Elliot, that people have necessarily, well, maybe not cottoned on. I think people realize that, but don't realize that means that commercially, you know, yes, on the field, you know, you're not going to share tactics and all that sort of, we're thinking of signing this player, right? Like, that doesn't happen. But there is an abundance, you know, a whole commercial entity and a machine that runs, and you can absolutely help each other out. So it's good to see you got, you know, that's something you're looking to set up. Because I was saying at a professional level, at the Premier League level, in a different sport, but in this country, I've seen it work and work really well. So if you, I mean, I if there's anything that we can do along the way, like Sport Tank, in terms of promoting and helping you guys out, then please let us know. Any of the teams, right? Like I always say this to everyone, but yeah, like I absolutely buy into this. It's a great format. There is a question, and I feel like you've answered this. I'm going to pop it up on screen just to see if there's anything you'd want to add.
Yeah.
Alan has said, Elliot, assuming the Aztecs show a decent success both on and off the field, how can the rest of the league benefit? So can you just articulate that a little bit more? And if there's anything to share.
It comes down to the other teams. Let's say things go well as intended, and Aztecs do well both on and off the field. It comes down to the willingness of the other teams to maybe take the risk and actually implement some of those things. But what our goal is to do is say, hey, look, here's what worked for us. Here's the actual playbook, not on-field playbook, but the playbook commercial
playbook. Yeah,
run with it and install it yourselves. That's I say the easiest thing. That's the most apparent thing. I think that it helps if we are a use case, because it will help other teams get funding. Because if they can, get another business guy in or something to their club, and they can say, hey, look what the Aztecs did. They made X amount of £100,000 or £1 million last year. That's going to get any other business person that's going to put their ears up and go, okay, well, that means it's viable. Someone's more likely to invest. So I'm just hoping, I know it's kind of a roundabout way, I'm just hoping that by us showing success, it will give other teams the faith to actually put money in themselves, or find people that are willing to put money into it. Because at the end of the day, candidly, you do have to have money. It all comes down to money. It just does. Like you have to have capital to be able to push initiatives forward. Just love of the game and the product on the field even isn't enough. It just isn't. So I'm hoping we can give you a use case to show commercial viability for other teams.
So just on that, how much so in the world of, I don't want to use like investor terms and then lose some of the audience. In the world of investing, one thing that gets spoken about is your run rate or your burn rate, right? So basically that is, you've got a lump sum of money up front. How long does it take for you to burn through that, all of it, not factoring in, new revenues that you hope that burn rate create. So have you thought about it in those terms? Have you got an idea of like how long you expect this money to last and to cover?
Yeah, very much so. So essentially it's a 3-year commitment, in that by the 3rd year, as an end of 2028, heading to 2029, the goal is that it will be self-sustaining, in that if there was no shareholder money put into it, it can at worst sustain the way it was going. And that should be very much viable. I say estimated because some of this is pledged as far as like what the willingness is to prop this up. I would say the estimated amount of money that would be contributed from a private source is somewhere between 600,000 to about 800,000 pounds, roughly, over a 3-year period. Roughly, it could be more, it could be less. The biggest thing to focus on is not how much money is really going in, as much as how much money is being produced. Because once the money is produced revenue wise, then you can start reverse engineering things to figure out what you need to tweak to increase that revenue. So
exactly, you want to get it to stand on its own 2 feet, wash its own face, however you want to call it, as quickly as possible. So in terms of funding, so not talking about revenue generated, but actual money being pumped into the business to allow that, are you opening up to additional investors at any point? Like, are you going to do like anything to allow people to, I don't know, like a share save scheme or something like that? Are you considering other options?
No, not at this time. Not at this time, because here's the candid truth. We have the ability to sustain this for 3 years. That's not a problem. And obviously, people may think this is wishful thinking, which I fully understand. The longer a business goes on that's successful, the more it is worth. So if we were to give up more of the share now to get more capital up front, you're kind of diluting the ability of actually making it more valuable down the line. So we're committed that we actually won't be opening up the doors to any outside investment for 3 years.
Yeah.
And now I if
That's
something comes
always a
along,
toss-up, isn't it? Like,
if someone
you
comes
know,
along and says 10 million quid, yeah, of
yeah.
course I'll have a conversation, but that ain't going to happen. So we've got to
No,
live in the
yeah,
land of reality.
yeah, that makes sense. Right,
Yeah.
I do have another topic I want to go into, but there are a
Yeah.
couple of questions which I just want
Yeah.
to let me just read it. I don't want to pop something up and then it's like it, you know,
Yeah.
insulting us. There's one from Russ. I know I can trust that. So Russ has said, "Hey
Big
Elliot,
Russ, how are we doing, big fella?
yeah, what a guy Russ is. Only in the last 5 years, teams are finally sharing film. The Cats have a good relationship with the Aztecs and agree that we should be sharing more of it. Oh, he hasn't actually. He just backed up what we're saying.
Yeah.
Films are different. Oh, mate, I think film. It kills me. I think, but it's also the same with like live streaming. So obviously, I offer a free live streaming service, right?
Yeah.
And we've done that we're on our 3rd year now. And we still have clubs out there that don't want their games live streamed, or they'll say to us, "Can you live stream it and then take it down straight away?" I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that." But for me, Elliot, that and this film thing that they're sort of linked. This is an example of a coach, be it a head coach or the coaching side of the organization, overtaking and overriding what is a clever business decision.
Yeah.
I could wax lyrical about this, but just want to share like what are your thoughts on that? And I suppose really, if that happened at the Aztecs, how would that be handled? You know, would there ever be a decision that Pete could say, "No, look, I don't want you to do this commercially because
No, I mean, I can't speak for Pete without dropping him a text, but I know
yeah,
he's a huge advocate of sharing film. I am. It's done in the NCAA and the NFL. Like you get it the next day from like it's not the reason it's done, and people are probably thinking, well, why did you do that? If you, and I'm talking, this is more my football helmet on being on the field, like the football aspect of it. If your only competitive advantage is the fact that your opponents don't know what you're doing, your team's fucking shit. It's just true. Like I don't care. Like I'm looking at the camera. I don't care. Like any coach that's watching this. I don't know who's watching it, or if this is going to get reclipped. I hope it is, and I hope I ruffle some feathers. If your only competitive advantage is that they don't know what you're going to do, you're fucking shite. I'm sorry, you just are. The game on the field gets better, and our quality of product gets better when we can study film and prepare for the things that are going to happen. Maybe and it makes it more enjoyable to watch for fans and for players to play because you're going in with proper game plans. You're learning. You actually get a chance to watch film and learn and get better. Like the fucking NFL share film, the National Football League, a multi-billion, if not close to probably fucking $1 trillion organization, they share film. So why the fuck are the northeastern, central, Bournemouthshire, Devonshire dogs not sharing their film with the whatever? I'm just making shit up at this point, but you get the idea. It drives me nuts. Like
mate.
you stagnate the growth. Don't be a fucking donkey.
Yeah, mate, you're preaching to the converted. I'm glad you were lying on that. I never understand it. I just think it's ridiculous. But yeah, we do see it a lot in British American football. I think that's more because we don't really have that split between okay, I'm on the coaching side. I just care about players, playing, recruitment, and then I'm on the commercial side. I care about revenue, marketing, etc. Right? And so those lines they get blurred, right? Those areas get overlapped, and you get we don't want to give a competitive advantage, so I'm going to stop this very nicely commercially viable thing from happening in the business. So anyway, but cool. Like I like I said, I think I could go on and on about it, but good to hear. Right, we've got Simon has popped up. Simon's he's with the Plymouth Vanguard. They've just had their first season. Oh, yeah, they have. They just had their first full season in the league after being associate. Good, well-run organisation. And what he's asked is, how do you plan on obtaining more sponsorship? And he follows up with, the first thing most companies ask when approached is, what do we get in return? Most of the time, it's just exposure. Am I wrong? Or what else can teams sell to get more sponsors?
He's 100% right as far as first, the company's asking, what do we get in return? I run a business where we do sponsorship and we do all types of different things in our community, and we won't spend money on marketing or sponsorship unless we know there's a return. That's how business should be. So, I mean, those are questions that everyone should be ready to field if they are looking for sponsorship. For us, as far as how we're approaching it, we have limited sponsorship actually. When you look at if you look at the sponsorship pounds versus the investment money from us internally, I think if I looked at it last time, it's like 10% of our actual like cash on hand, which is not, I mean, it's very nominal. That's our projected sponsorship.
Yeah.
Our goal, like I said, and I fully understand that we're in a better position financially than most. Our goal is to actually bring sponsors in strategically that understand it's an investment into the long term, as far as, like, you know, getting a proof of concept and getting some exposure from social media, some exposure from game day, some exposure from live stream. Those are the only three things really you can give back for now. But really, that goal is by year 3 to turn things around. And now we have, because I'm in the marketing world, obviously, by year 3, we've self-sustained and paid a lot of the costs that need to get there. By year 3, I can now give a sponsorship pack to an investor, to a sponsor, and say, look, we get X amount of thousand on our live stream. We get a couple thousand, 3, 4, 5,000 to a game. We get this many emails that we send out per month. This is our open rate. This is the amount of people that view it. Only then can you maximize sponsorship, when you actually have a use case you can show a sponsor that shows them hard and cold numbers. So to answer that question directly, it takes self-sustainability and investment for a couple of years to give proof of concept before you can actually ask for good sponsorship. And when I say good sponsorship, I'm talking multiple 5 figures. But most people don't have the ability or the risk tolerance to put their own money into it. It's just the reality of the situation.
So yeah, and I'm going to jump in again here, because you've essentially described what our model has been towards live streaming, right? So the plan was all the money. I put all the money up front. We get all the equipment, you know, and we live stream for free. And it, you know, it costs us every single time. I've got running costs as well, and I had some, you know, upfront big costs for like equipment. But like our satellite service is £100 a month, for example. You know, I've got to get, like I said, there's also emotional costs with my family and my marriage. But the whole point is, and my wife's savvy. She's a marketing head as well. She gets it, like she's quality. But the whole point is, I wanted to with the live streaming, I wanted to turn the model on its head, because I saw that in order to get a live streaming entity to come and live stream a game in the UK, it was the best. Well, at the time, the best part, £1,200. Now it's about 1,700 quid to get a live stream game. And I was like, there's got to be a different way, right? So the concept that we had was build an audience, then go to sponsors, and that sponsorship money we will use to obviously cover our costs and buy new equipment and, you know, expand our base, you know, more groups of people doing more live streams, but also that we then pay the teams. So completely turning the model on its head and saying, you know, imagine we said to, I don't know, yeah, Bristol and the Warriors, oh, well, here's 300 quid for each team. Thanks for letting us live stream, right? That's a completely different place to be, right? And that's what we're working towards. And we're at the point now, I think I pulled the numbers in August, so not too long ago. I typically do it each August. I pulled the numbers in August. We get, in the previous 12 months, August to August, we had, I think it was like 1.8 million minutes of viewership. And it averaged out to 87 hours a day. Now I've also got, and that was across all platforms, because, well, we started the whole year. We did a whole year on YouTube. We did a partial year on Facebook. So that was all numbers in. But then we've also got the analytics, right? Like, so I know the audience, like it's mostly 18 to 35-year-old males in the UK that are our audience. But then we also bring in a lot of parents and family members from overseas and stuff. So I can now, my plan now is to go to potential sponsors with that story to tell, right? If you get your logo on our screen, like we're doing, you know, a permanent logo on the screen, that will be viewed a minimum, we hope, of 87 hours a day by people in this demographic. And you know, and obviously we would look to approach companies that's beneficial too. So, you know, so I've got a whole list of, I've got about 600 companies to go to, right? So just to give Simon an idea from my perspective that sort of supports what you said there, exactly the model that we've done with our live streaming, and I would actually say that, and I know Pete and you, Elliot, said they want to talk to me about the live stream, so I don't want to talk about that kind of discussion now, but I say to every team, you should look to live stream your own games. Don't give that to Sport Tank. Yeah, we've got a model, and yeah, it'll work. But I think every team should endeavour to have their own presence online, their own, live stream their own stuff, right? Obviously, we're happy to help, but if it turned out that I used to say this to the guys, if it turns out that every team is live streaming and Sport Tank don't do the live streaming, quality. We'll move on to the next thing that helps the sport, right? We're not a live streaming platform. We're a media platform that does free live streaming for people and are hoping to turn it into a revenue generating thing for us and for the sport. But if the legs got taken out of it because people have adopted it, well, that means they're going to get their own revenue, and that's a good thing for the sport.
Not to derail it too much, but I think there's maybe a hybrid there, because if you look at it, like NCAA, NFL have, depending on the NCAA conference, they have TV deals with ESPN, with CBS, with USA Sport, whatever, CBS Sport. They don't do their own TV stuff, but they kind of get together as a league and say, all right, we're going to invest in, or we're going to sign a contract with this network, and they'll provide the TV services. So I think there's opportunities. There's another conversation maybe offline, but there's lots of opportunities.
I agree, but I want people to know that I'm not coming from like that whole, like, I'm not this commercial demon, right? Like I will advise you, I'll help you set it all. I'll tell you all of the software, the hardware, the cameras, like how to commentate. I'll tell you everything. I just want to help these entities, right? But sorry, I know I slightly went off piece there, but I just felt that you were describing to a T exactly what we're doing with the live streaming, with your answer there. And I think that, it's exactly that, like sharing that stuff and having these people ask these questions. Hopefully Simon reaches out to you and, you can have a conversation.
Anyone that I can give my like Instagram details or actually my email address, or whatever. I will talk to anyone that has time. Anyone has time to talk to me, as long as I can fit in my schedule, I'll talk to anyone, because that's the best way to kind of get things moving. But yeah, the one thing I'd say to anyone that's listening, if anyone is about like the sponsorship thing, is the best piece of advice I can give you, if you can do it, swing it, is find someone that you can. I tell every team essentially, unless you have a charity set up, try and become an actual commercial entity, like a limited company, and find someone who's willing to passionately give up a decent amount of money for a little bit of ownership as the business piece, and then build your use case and then go out and become self-sustainable. If you think you're going to walk into, like, I'm trying to think of a decent example, even like a local company, or you're not going to walk into Tesco and say to Tesco, hey, I need 10 grand sponsorship, then go, okay, great, what's our return? It just doesn't, it's not realistic. I'm not trying to be skeptical, it's just true. I own a business. I'm not giving a dollar of my American money here to a business or to an entity if I don't know what I'm getting in return. It's not smart,
No, great advice. Thanks, Elliot. Another thing from Alan here. So, Elliot, are you concerned that the success of the Aztecs threatens to leave the rest of the league behind?
I had a great chat with George Foster from the Titans yesterday, and the reality of the situation is there probably is going to be a little bit of a gap increase in on-field product and some of the, not resources, but just the player experience between the top and the bottom. It's just natural. But the problem is, for 40 fucking years, we've been catering to the lowest common denominator, and we know what that's gotten us. Absolutely nowhere. So yeah, naturally, there is probably more than likely going to be a little bit more of a separation. Is kind of what happens. But I don't think it's going to leave the rest of the league behind to where the rest of the league isn't in any worse position than it already was. It just elevates that next tier to be, okay, now maybe we have 4 teams, and I won't sign other people up for it, but maybe we have 4 teams where it's like, okay, these 4 teams are like, they run a little bit more professionally. They're not paying players, but they run a professional entity. That's not a bad thing. You're elevating. You're not bringing anyone else down, because let's be honest, those teams aren't going to get better. They're not going to be, it doesn't matter whether the Aztecs and the whoever else end up rising, those teams are going to stay stagnant. They're not going to really get any worse. So it's not a concern. It's a valid reality of what might happen. That's contrary to maybe where BAFA want to go. But if I'm being honest, I know BAFA have a very hard job. BAFA have been very much putting their bubble around typically participation, lowest common denominators. That's not how you grow a sport. On-field product and commercial viability. That's just how you increase participation to get more government money. And if that's your MO, that's great. But American football is a commercial sport. It's not a participation sport where 60-year-olds should be running around playing football.
Yes. That's a great. I thought that for you. it's too dangerous to play en masse.
Yeah,
Right. I think it's almost too dangerous to play really at some of the Div 2 levels that I see. You'll put
mate, don't. Yeah, I love football, and I think
yeah.
football is something we should all enjoy and should be able to share from a spectator's perspective. American football, no matter what the level it is a violent, dangerous sport that takes a lot from your body, no matter what the level is. I see guys, and I'm happy that they're having a good time. I'm seeing guys in their 40s and 50s posting on Facebook in Division 2 teams, and I'm like, I cannot. I'm 32 years old. I've been out of football for almost 10 years now, I think it is. I can't imagine at 32, and I'm still in very good shape. I cannot imagine. I mean, just at least lifting and stuff. I tear my knees out if I even tried to step on a football field. It's beyond my comprehension that you could be in your 40s and 50s and be performing at a high level and not opening yourself up to injury potential.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, yeah, no, I do agree. I find it. I feel like it's almost like I think it's almost like pub league. Like it is participation. It is pantomime almost.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from guys, but
yeah, I know you have to be very careful how you word it.
Yeah. I'm glad they're enjoying it, and I think they should enjoy it as long as they can. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not. That is not what that's not what I'm saying. But when you look, I know I don't want to compare the NFL and the NCAA, but you have to just look at where that 100-year plus benchmark progression is compared to where we're at. There's a reason the average NFL player is like 26, 27. There's a reason that NCAA guys are up until like 23, and you don't see it past then because the sport is so developed. The guys are so physically in shape. It's not viable for guys. It's barely viable for guys in their mid 30s to be playing in that league, and I think that's indicative of the level of just the level of play. It's just that high. So what that says is I'm just saying that the way I see it, when I see 50-year-olds running around on a football field, I'm automatically making assumptions about the quality of the game. Because could you imagine a 52-year-old guy going out and playing the NFL? He'd be dead,
Yeah. So there's two more, and I'll bring up any comments as they come up. We've got nothing at the moment, just like a couple of nice things people are saying. But there are two more topics that or areas that I'd like to sort of discuss before we
let's do it.
we finish. The first one you actually just mentioned, BAFA, the national governing body. I don't really know how to position this. Like, have you got an expectation or requirement, or have you got a plan for engagement? Like what? I don't want to lead you into something, but I'd like the topic of the national governing body discussed as it pertains to this potential or this development.
I got texted. I got reprimanded by Pete right away. So when you go on, be nice, basically.
Yeah.
I'm being.
I'm not trying to goad you here, Elliot.
No. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to goad me. All I've got to do is look in the mirror and I'll activate myself. So, BAFA. I'm going to preface this. BAFA have an incredibly hard job, because they have to focus on making sure that everyone's voices are heard. That's what governing bodies. I mean, it's part of what they do. But the problem therein that lies with that, based on the conversation we've had to this point, is you're giving equal voice to entities and individuals that have different motives than each other. And the top competition has a different motive to the bottom level of competition. The guys are I say bottom, I mean it with all due respect, but the guys that are at the bottom of the kind of competition, the bottom of the commercial viability, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are okay staying where they're at. They enjoy it, they have fun, they want to participate. The guys at the top, they want to continue to elevate, and those things don't work in lockstep with each other. And BAFA have to kind of bring it together, but naturally that means that you're compressing the growth and you're raising the floor of where people don't necessarily want to go. So I'm prefacing it by saying they have a hard job, but the problem is you can't serve two masters. And I don't know how this is sustainable long term if they're being pulled in two different directions.
Okay, so a more pointed question then. What, in your mind, and maybe the minds of the other guys involved, what can BAFA do to help your program move forward, or your idea, your concept? Or don't you know?
I'll be candid. We've had a little consultation with BAFA going
Yeah,
through this. A lot of our guys ask, "Oh, you must have checked with BAFA on this first." I'm like, "No, we haven't. We're working within the realms of the rule books. I've
yeah.
read that stuff back to back." I don't know what BAFA can do because, to be quite honest with you, Steve, the marketing we have, like, no matter, like, how can you help us market? We already have a great marketing engine. I'm using my own business's marketing to help out with the Aztec stuff. We have a decent marketing engine. I think the best thing they could do is listen, and by that I mean just be
Mm.
open to hearing what we're working on and open to sharing that information with other teams. Ultimately, the ultimate thing that'd be awesome is if we have a more semi-professionalized or professionalized league within BAFTA. They have no interest in doing that really because that's a whole other operating system that requires more revenue, requires different people to be hired. That would be great, but I don't know how viable that is. So really, I think the best thing they could do is just not be resistant, be open-minded,
Yeah.
listen to what we're doing, and share that information with other teams, and hope that maybe they'll see that it's doable. But
Yeah.
that mid to long term with BAFTA, I don't know how that looks. I don't know how that looks, to be honest with you.
You know, for what it's worth, you know, I've been a very outspoken critic of BAFA for the number of years, and I would say BAFA are in the strongest, most organised position that they've ever been in.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's you know, there's going to be people that listen to this and go, oh well, they've done this and they've done that. And like, to your point, then you're never going to keep everyone happy, but I think they're doing a good job of moving forward. You know, 1.5 million investment in the past couple of years just through funding for different initiatives. Obviously, that money's allocated before it even hits the bank account, but still, like, that's 1.5 million that's doing something somewhere in the sport that wasn't doing anything anywhere in the many years
Yeah.
before it. So I feel like we're in a good place. I hope that they support this. I hope that they help, you know, in whatever way they can, because it's a great thing.
I think one thing just before you move on from that,
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that they are in a better place, no question. But the one thing I compel and implore anyone who is listening is that it's on us as teams to make ourselves sustainable and commercially viable. Don't wait for BAFTA to get paid money and
Yes.
expect a handout.
Yeah.
It's on us individually as players, as coaches, as
Mm.
team owners, club owners, whatever it happens to be. It's on us to work together collectively to figure out how we can be sustainable ourselves, kind of
Yeah.
together. Don't expect BAFTA to write you a check. That's not what they're here for. They're here to support us and give us the platforms. But it's on us to work together to make more money so we can sustain this and grow it and give people opportunities.
I think it's a great message. So last topic, and I think you probably knew this was coming, but the future ELF, right? Or I don't even know if ELF is on the cards, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, once let's say we, you know, I don't know. I imagine the plan is to get to a place where we at least semi-pro or pro, like, get
Yeah.
me
No.
excited
Yeah.
about
Oh,
the
no.
far distant future.
Here's there's goal 1A and goal 1B, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
Goal 1A is the hard one. It's actually more. It doesn't make sense in a second. Goal 1A is actually pretty harder than goal 1B. Goal 1A, which would be awesome, is that we have enough commercial viability within our Anglo-Irish area
Yeah.
that we can have a semblance of a professional league. I'm not talking about the CFL, NFL, maybe even the ELF the first couple of years, but a professional league where guys can get paid and the quality is good enough where people pay and show to want to show up and turn up and watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome. That would be kind of like goal 1A. Goal 1B is, yeah, you get an invite from maybe the ELF or maybe a GFL expansion or something, and you're in a position to do that. But the thing is, there's no reason why on the way to getting to that maybe goal 1B, we don't work on goal 1A. In order for goal 1B to be a success, goal 1A has to hit those steps anyway. So we may as well work towards that. And if it lands, great. If not, awesome. I would love nothing more than in 2 to 3 years' time, when we've proved viability, that the ELF reach out and say, hey, we've seen what you've been working with the Bristol Aztecs. You're sustainable. You are commercially viable. Here's an invite for you to discuss and take a look at. That would be awesome. I would be lying, and I think anyone in our organization would be lying if we said that wouldn't be something that we seriously entertain. But in the meantime, we're a long way away from that in comparison to other teams. There's a lot of work has to happen, and in the process and in that journey, we need to be a good neighbor and a good friend to our other teams in our league and help them grow in the process. That's the reality.
Awesome. Very exciting. Thanks for sharing the 1A, 1B. I think that's the thing is, right? as lofty as those ideas sound, they also seem completely reasonable if you didn't know anything about the history of Britball. Right? You're like, oh yeah, of course we're going to do that, right? So I like, wish you all the best. You know, I don't think you probably hear me say that another 100 times in the next year, right? I think it's great. I think you guys are the right guys. I think you've got the right approach. It's not, you haven't got these lofty goals. You've got these realistic goals. You're bringing people along for the journey. You're being open and transparent. To your point, you know, you are very well positioned considering your playing history and also your business success. Like, it's like things feel good about this, and I genuinely wish you all the best. Before we finish, because I feel that we're sort of at the end of this. It's been going an hour, but is there anything today that you planned on saying or you want to say that you haven't had a chance to, like just like a miscellaneous section, really?
No, I mean we could be on this thing for 4 hours just talking about the past and stuff, but I don't really talk about the past much. It's pretty. I mean, I played football at Boise State, played with some great guys, learned that along the way, which gave me the basis. But I don't think there's anything we haven't really touched on. I just want to be an open book and collaborate where possible. So if anyone wants to chat or talk, myself and our board of directors very open to sharing things. I just, like I said before, it's on us as team owners, players, coaches, whatever. It's on us to get together and to collaborate, not to conspire against anyone. We need that. It's not about conspiring against anyone. It's about us working together to work on being commercially viable. And I promise anyone who's watching, I promise that if you work with us, we'll work with you and we'll help each other out. Everything I've done in my life, and I don't want to make this about me, but everything I've done in my life, I've been told to an extent by someone at some point, that's not going to happen, or you're not realistic. I don't fucking fail, mate. I don't fucking fail at anything I do. This will not fail because I don't allow things to fail. So I want as many people to come along for the ride with us, whether you are on the Bristol Aztecs organization, or you're the Manchester Titans, or you're the London Warriors, or you're whoever you are. Come on the journey with us. Let's share information. And let's make it work. Why not? Why not us? Why not now? We've been doing this bullshit for 40 years, going back and forth on the same shit. Why not just work together and actually find the path forward?
Awesome. Well, on that note, Elliot, we'll end this. Thank you so much, mate. This was such a good conversation. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully people are going to get a lot out of this. I will be clipping it and reposting bits throughout the week because I think you said some golden nuggets today and some stuff people are gonna. I think people need to hear, right, and we'll get excited to hear. So thank you again, mate. And we'll obviously we're on a WhatsApp chat together, so we'll continue talking. But like I said, if there's anything that Sport Tank can do for you or any of these other organisations, like let us know, get us involved. We're happy to support in whatever way we can. But,
we're working on a lot. We're working on a lot for sure.
Awesome. All right, Elliot. Well, thanks very much for your time, bud. Have a lovely Thanksgiving, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I forget. Cheers.
All right, bud. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.